What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? Your boy Gage is here with jokes.
Yo, yo.
You are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And today,
Today.
today we're going to talk about the PlayStation State of Play. We're going to talk about our adventures in Extra Life from over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about AI. And then we're going to talk about what's coming up this coming weekend. Jokes, are you ready for this?
I'm ready, good sir.
Are you sure?
I am, I think.
That's what I like. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Before we get too deep into the show, just want to make sure to let you know that Patreon is one of the best ways to support us. Puts money on the table for us and allows us to be able to keep doing the things that we're doing. We love having you guys just kind of hang out and spend some time with us here. But obviously, if you can put some dollars, down for us, we greatly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, it is time for the 619 Hall of Fame. Jokes, if you would.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Indeed, we do, as is always. Jokes, if you could throw that Loading Snacks link up there for the
Sure
good
can.
folks. Now, let's talk about Extra Life.
Mm-hmm. Good evening.
What up? What up? Jokes, I'm still tired. Are you still tired?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay. Do you happen to have the link to our Extra Life? Can you pull that up?
I can get it right quick. Hold on
Can you
one
grab
second.
that and just pop that on screen? So yeah, I'm sure that most of you who are here are aware that we streamed this past Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, playing video games to raise money for Children's Miracle Network through a charity called Extra Life. And we played a bunch of games, 12 or 13 different games, about 2 hours apiece for 8 to 9 hours each day.
Mm-hmm.
And myself and Jokes, we had our good friend and Patreon supporter Cuddy join us. Marcus joined us. We had long-time friend Dom do his own stream the week before for 24 hours straight to raise money and put some money on the table. My daughter Zaina did her own stream, surpassed her goal of like $500. I think she ended up at like 560.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, reporting live from across the earth currently right now.
Yeah, over there in Korea where it's like morning. It's morning. Yeah, so she owes us a lot of crunches, among some other things. But we had a really good time. We played some really fun games. We got an opportunity to reminisce.
Mm-hmm.
In between playing some of those games. Jokes, what are your thoughts? How you feel?
Overall, as usual, I think Extra Life was a great time. Coming together and being able to support an amazing cause is always a great thing to do. But being able to do it while having fun, doing something that we absolutely love to do, all at the same makes it even better. I appreciate everyone that joined in, whether it was in the chat, was gaming alongside with us at some point in time for it. It's greatly appreciated. It's one of those things that, I can't wait till we can do it again next year. I know we may do something smaller before the end of the year, who knows, but it's always a great time.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Um, it is. I consider it a responsibility to
Hmm.
find ways to give back. And I'm glad we get an opportunity to do it in the way we do. You all help put about $2,200. I think we ended at $2,220.
Actually, I think it's
Um,
slightly
Might be a little higher than
2250.
that now.
2250.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think Zayna got an extra $30 donation like yesterday, maybe at the end of the day Sunday. So yeah, that sounds about right. Um, so
She
yeah, I
said we didn't
mean,
have to mention the crunches.
yeah, we do. Um, because we paid the piper, right? We did our hot sauces, our hot ones, hot
Hmm.
sauces. I broke Legos. They're still in the floor, by the way, jokes. I just haven't been able to bring myself. I haven't been able to bring myself to pick them up. I don't even know what to do with them. So I guess I gotta find a box or something to put them in. But I do know how I'm gonna replace them, so I guess there's that. Um, yeah, I mean, look, again, just overall a great time. I did actually have a really good time. Like we dedicated a portion of our time on Saturday to playing games that we just thought would be games that Sim would have really enjoyed playing.
Hmm.
Things that were, you know what, even if he didn't really enjoy them, like I don't know if he really would have enjoyed One Piece Power Warriors, but he loves One Piece, so like, you know what I mean. Now, Just Shapes and Beats, I think he would have been, you know what I mean. Again, we did have a good time playing that the first time we played it
Yeah.
together.
If
Um,
he'd had a swear jar, that swear jar would
oh,
have been
oh,
completely overflowing.
oh, nah, we would have hit the $3,000 goal for sure. We would have hit the $3,000 goal for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, it just when we did our lunch breaks, we did them a little bit differently than we normally
Hmm.
do. In years past, we've played like an FMV game or something like that,
Hmm.
where you kind of watch and you make a decision about what happens next, and we usually kind of play along with whoever's watching, whoever's hanging out in the crowd, and give them opportunity to kind of jump in and do that. In this case, we just kind of ordered our food and we sat back and we reminisced and kind of watched old episodes of either the Loading Snack Show. Um, we watched old episodes of, or in some cases, unreleased. Um,
Hmm.
episodes of Anime Vault that Sin did. So again, it was just a really good time. I thoroughly enjoyed what we did. Jokes, was there a game that you enjoyed the most out of what we played? Wow, it's a
Like I
long pause.
think genuinely, like I think especially the ones that we didn't really get to, that we hadn't played with beforehand, I think we're really interested to get into. Um, we went in dark with like Ready or Not.
Mm.
Um, like I played a little bit beforehand, but
Yeah, don't try to
I
don't yeah, don't
hey,
try to
listen,
like
I was gonna say the moment I got in, I died. So I wasn't not gonna say that.
nah,
Um,
I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about how you're saying we went in blind, but like you didn't really go in blind. You went and played like the first two levels before we got in.
played the but it
Yeah,
was like a
yeah, yeah,
speed
yeah.
run. It was a speed
Nah,
run. I didn't.
nah, 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 nah. It doesn't matter. Like, you can say it. Like say it. Say I couldn't help myself. Like I had to do it. Like I knew it
Hey,
was gonna happen on something.
after I went in and had to learn the mechanics, I said I need to at least try the mechanics out twice.
That's what the
But
training room was for, dog. Listen, listen. Right now, you're selling it and swelling it. I don't want to hear it. Let's not talk about that anymore. What else did you like?
um, outside of that, I think Tumblestone was a great time.
Yeah.
Um, me and Zeno went in with this little competitive piece to it.
Hmm.
Um, unfortunately, I wasn't able to beat Zeno when it came time for Tombstone, but I was happy
Unfortunately for who?
for me. But I was
Listen.
actually happy that I was able to at least keep up and get a little bit of sweat as I was playing through there and there a little bit. A little bit.
You applied a little pressure.
A little pressure in
A
there.
little bit of pressure. Let me tell you something. I am too old for this nonsense, and I made the mistake of going out. It's not really a mistake, but I went out. Let's just say I went out. I was out and up late Saturday, and I did not have it together on Sunday. Let me just tell you. I'm gonna be real. I like for real for the first time in maybe like 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Since whatever the last time is, we actually did a 24 hours straight.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday morning, I felt like we had been running 24 hours straight. Like it
All right.
felt like coming through the end of that crunch. I was so tired. I was so tired. But um man, like to some extent, it it kind of made me miss some of the earlier days when we first
Mm-hmm.
started doing it, and that was what we like. That was the whole point. Was like, you got to do the 24 hours, doing the 24 hours straight. Like, da, da, da. Come watch
Perp
us be
said you ain't that
delirious. And
old.
hey, Perp, let me tell you something, dog. let me tell you something, Perp. There is a reason why we split it into 3 days instead of doing 24 hours straight. Now, let me just make that very clear. And no, I'm not that old, but let's keep it a buck. Like when when you're on the cusp of 50, it ain't like, your chicken ain't spring. You know what I mean? Like it's not, I was tired, bro. Like I was sleepy. Um, but I mean again, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Mm-hmm.
every minute of it, and I'm super happy that I went out because there was a time in my head when I thought, you know what, we're gonna play Saturday, and then I'm just gonna relax. I'm gonna go to bed. You know what I mean, or whatever, chill. I probably would have played a game or something like that. Um, but I think I made the right decision. I'm positive I made the right decision.
That's good.
Um, you know what I'm saying, to go out. But yeah, I mean, look, it just kind of made me miss some of those old days. And to be honest, like, when we were doing that, we were doing that like together, all in the same space. So it wasn't even really, the way we do it now, which is much like the way we're recording this at the moment. Like, we were all in the same space. And so it was more like an old school kind of like a sleepover kind of thing where, you know what I mean? Like we could really get in each other's face and kind of poke fun or whatever.
Listen, Cuddy,
Um,
it's not the main reason. Like, it's not the main reason.
um, well, that part is always fun. Yeah, I mean, look, the reality of it is when we made the decision to go to 3 days, we knew it was definitely going to benefit Jokes because Jokes
I
always
made
fell
it.
asleep.
I made it 2 years.
I don't
I made
know,
it.
dog. I
I
don't
know for a
know.
fact there's at least one. I definitely made it completely through 1 year, and I feel like I did it twice. But the majority of the
This
time,
is
absolutely
Here's
not.
the thing. Let me ask you this, Jokes, because I don't think I ever asked you about. Did you just not go to sleep, like prepare for it the way you should have, knowing that we had to do 24 hours straight? Because that
No,
just seems like a very you thing to do. That you would just be like, you would just stay with your normal sleep pattern or whatever, knowing that then we got to go into like
nah.
24 hours of
I
just.
definitely went to sleep the night because normally I would say in the first, probably maybe like the first half, I made sure that I was off the day prior so I could just like have a longer time to just, sleep and chill and relax to get to, game day typically, which was on Saturday for us. Um, but I don't know. I just,
What did you actually
Yeah. No,
Sleep. Being off isn't the same thing as
I
like,
actually slept. I actually
yeah.
slept.
Then I don't, dog. Then listen, there are no excuses. Then I
I
don't
think
know what's wrong with
my
you.
internal clock just says, off. That's what was like, no, you need to go down.
Hey, bruh, we're talking like with hot ones in your system and energy drinks in your system, bruh. You're just like you just shut down. Like it's actually pretty amazing.
I
Jokes.
don't know. My metabolism, like, listen, I guess it burns that type of stuff. Still got a gut, but I guess it burns through all the rest of that pretty quick.
It burns through the stuff that it burns through the caffeine and keeps everything else. Got it. Got it. Look, I think Just Shapes and Beats was definitely a standout for me. This year, I'm pretty sure we're gonna need to bring that back. Uh, I think we have to bring that back next year. I think that's the standout. Ready or Not actually was cool. I think my disappointment with Ready or Not was just not having other people. Like I
Yeah.
would love to have had like a full squad of
A
like five
full
people
squad would have
to
been
go.
absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So I think we need to work on like trying to get that set up so we can
Hmm.
just run like again, we don't necessarily need to stream it, but we gotta get a squad together and just and run that. I would really like to do that. And really I want to play it anyway and just see how far we can get, you know what I mean? Just like kind of
Hmm.
push it. So I think that'll be dope to do. All right, so look, enough about this past weekend. Oh, well, hold on. Let me say this. There were a lot of people. I haven't posted anything on Facebook. Hey, let me just be honest. I'm actually relatively rarely on Facebook.
Hmm.
Um, there were a lot of posts. A lot of people reached out via text or whatever to say happy birthday. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to type something or to press the automatic button on the Facebook thing that automatically fills in and says happy birthday. That counts too.
Hmm.
Um, it does. The people who responded directly to stories or DM'd me on IG or whatever. Like I said, texted me directly. Um, it was great, to have that. Sunday also happened to be the 11th anniversary for Loading Snacks.
Hmm.
And so, again, to be able to take something that should be celebratory, maybe for us, but in truthfully, instead, we're doing something to benefit other people. To put something else on the table, I think is um, a slight understatement of what we stand for in terms of community and community building and wanting to make sure that we're doing something to give back. So thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you to everyone who shared. Thank you to everyone who supported or who played or who just watched along or who commented. Thank you to everyone who, wished a happy birthday
Hmm.
or a happy anniversary to us. Again, it really means a lot and we greatly appreciate you. Now, today, jokes,
Hmm.
let's go back 24 hours or so. Yesterday, jokes, Sony announced a state of play for PlayStation that happened today. And what was different about it was that this was a state of play Japan.
Hmm.
Let's talk about that for a second. Before we get in, did you watch the state of play?
I did.
Okay. Um Before we get into the state of play itself and what was shown or what we liked or whatever, let's talk about the fact that this is a state of play Japan specifically. They have never done that before. This is the
No.
first time that they have done a region specific state of play. So this was technically state of play Japan, but it was state of play Japan slash Asia,
Hmm.
Asian continent, countries, so forth. What do you think prompted that? Like, what do you think is the point of that? What's the purpose?
I'm not sure. Like, when it comes time for, things like that, when it's in Japan, I know there's always that thing about, making sure, we try to do things right amongst home base. So Japan, the Asia countries and everything. So I'm not, to me, I felt there was more of, because of the type of games that were involved. Outside of, there's a couple that are like major name titles that are in there. I felt the type of games that were included with it, I feel, were more of a better crowd to the Japan side of things versus over here in the West. So I think that may have been one of the reasons why they did it the way that they did. But overall, I'm not exactly sure what prompted to specifically do that. Still add subtitles so anybody else that, of course, didn't speak Japanese will still be able to consume and watch the content for it. But
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that part, I think you do no matter what, because you still know that you have an audience worldwide, and you know that it makes sense when you're an international company to, if you're gonna put a broadcast out, you do it so that they know that they're still gonna get a lot of coverage from, like, the IGNs of the world, and that, those being based here. I think it's an interesting move for a couple of reasons. It is, in a way, out of season. And I say that because, like, Tokyo Game Show already happened. Like, they had an opportunity to do something like that with Tokyo Game Show coming, and they didn't do it, which is a little strange to me. It seems like they're behind under that circumstance. I also think that I think that there's a looming threat to the business. So PlayStation moved their main headquarters to the US. Right? They're headquartered here. Maybe that sends a signal to Japan. You know what I mean? Like, I think that over the last few years, if you look at PS3, PS4, PS5, it's not saying much to say that you outsold Xbox. But how are you doing against Nintendo? If fewer people were happy with the size of the PlayStation 5, right? Like, it's just a giant thing. And in Japan, those things tend not to do as well when there's something big, some big giant piece of machinery. So I think there may have been something with the numbers. But I also think that these companies are scrambling's probably not the right way to say it. Adjusting to a global economic landscape where the United States is consistently pressing the idea of tariffs. And I think that seeing sales slow down or come to a crawl or whatever, or the fear that it may get worse before it gets better, that again, we are facing a console gaming landscape where, for the first time ever, prices of consoles have gone up instead of going down. Their ability to actually make margins, put dollars on the table based on hardware sales, is basically non-existent and hasn't gotten better. It's only gotten worse. So when you combine the global economic landscape as it applies to releasing consoles during COVID, what that did to the chip market and so forth, and then the continued rising costs, now coupled or thrupled with the threat of tariffs and what it means for you to be able to sell product in a place where traditionally your business has been so well that you moved your headquarters from your
Hmm.
homeland to here. um there may be a need as a company that still is Sony is based in PlayStation has a headquarters here, but
Hmm.
Sony is still based in Japan. Like we can't forget that, right? As a company, you maybe have to start looking more inward and trying to figure out what are the best ways you need to do things to appeal to your own audience. As a company, when you have been gearing so much of what you do and what you have done towards everybody else, towards the globe, right? So English speaking, whether it's Europe, whether it's the US, what whatever, but you're not pushing that same focus at home.
Hmm.
It kind of makes sense, in my opinion, to do that. And that was kind of my thought. Like when I saw that, I was like, that's a little strange. So a couple of things. One, if I'm not mistaken, and feel free to look it up, double
Hmm.
check it, but I'm almost positive that Nintendo did the same thing. I think Nintendo released a Japanese only version of the Switch 2. And at
I
the
do
end of the
recall
state of
that.
play,
Hmm.
that's what they did. There was a rumor that they were going to be doing that. Rumor came
That's
out
been a
a while
while.
back
Yeah.
that they were going to release a Japan only language version of the PlayStation 5. To come out and announce that you're doing that, there's something else there, right?
Hmm.
What you can make in terms of money in manufacturing, what it means, why it matters to specifically tell your home consumers in your homeland, hey, we have a version of this that is just for you, which in more ways than anything else is more like the way it used to be,
Hmm.
right? Like Nintendo had a Famicom and an NES, right? There was an English based version of the console and a Japanese version of the console. When I bought my first PlayStation 2 was an imported Japanese PS2.
Hmm.
Um, I did the same thing with the Dreamcast, right? Like that's how it used to be. That these things were sold in their countries and they were region locked under most circumstances, right? You couldn't play US games on uh, on a Japanese PlayStation
Hmm.
under most circumstances. So it's very interesting to see them go that route to do something that is like, what kind of money can we save by not having to worry about translating any of this stuff
Translating.
in the menus? What can we save by, you know, only linking it to the Japanese version of the PlayStation Store and only linking it, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
what can we save? But I also think that there might be something else to it. Like what kind of money can they make if they're able to feed ads directly to just their folks? Like what kind of money can they save if they don't have to worry about global marketing and they really only outside of doing the state of play again, because the games are like for everybody, right? Like
Hmm.
they announce all these games and everything's in Japanese on screen, but the games are still globally available, right? So
Hmm.
anybody who heard about them or saw them or whatever, we're still going to be able to get them. We'll still be able to access them. The release dates are still what the release dates are, but um, specifically telling them, hey, we did this specifically for you. We put it out in Japan. We hired a voice actor to come on here and do this, who is a well-known voice actor in Japan, who
Hmm.
specifically, is a voice actor for Marvel stuff in Japan, right? To come and to host it. It is in a lot of ways PlayStation of old. They really like put a personality in
Hmm.
front of the camera to host it, which is a thing they haven't really been doing with a whole like couch setup and I'm gonna sit
Yeah.
down and talk to y'all about the
Guests and
game and
everything.
whatever.
Like
Like
it was.
it's a very different. It's very different. Um, and I think it's just kind of a mark of things to come and the way that things are. Um, and in a way, it makes me wonder whether or not we're gonna see some of the same thing from, truthfully, the only console maker that actually exists here in the US. Would it make sense for Microsoft, for Xbox to do the same thing, especially considering where they are right now with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the expensive consoles and whatever? It's interesting. I mean, do you think that that has anything to do with it? Just like the global
Yeah.
economy
I,
and whatever? Am I just pulling straight? I could be just pulling out of the air, dog. I mean, I
no,
think there's something there,
I
but
think you got some. I think you got some solid points. Because when you want to always show your, your home crowd, your home people, that there's always going to be something specifically or special for you that we're going to do. Of course, we're going to try to put things out for those masses that are out there, so you be able to access things. Like, you, as a global company, you have to be able to do those type of things, but at the same time you have to be able to show, hey, listen, we are going to do these couple of things that are specific for you. Because, like, specifically, like, that version that only has the Japanese language on there, if I remember right, they said it was like 55,000 yen,
mm-hmm.
US dollars. It's like $360. So cost wise, clearly it brought the cost of the console
Way
down.
down, way
So
down by comparison.
that
Yeah,
is that is a big thing when you can tell people that maybe over there haven't made the investment to jump into a PS5, that now, hey, listen, we're looking out for you. We took out some of those things that probably you're not really, I don't want to say care is the word, but maybe need is the word. And in
sure.
doing so, brought this cost down, make it a little more cost effective on there. But I do think what you said, there's all of those pieces go into play, and it's just finding that right balance in there to do for it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a really interesting thing to see them do that, and gear it specifically towards Japan. It feels like one of those kinds of things where, like, if Microsoft did that, if they were like, we're doing a US only, you know what I mean? Like,
No, no,
the the globe would
sure.
have a fit. You know what I mean? Like, they would have a fit, but like, it's normal. It was normal coming from Japan. Again, for them to have their stuff first, for us to
Mhm.
have to wait a year or something like that before we get it. If they're able to sell consoles in Japan and make a profit in Japan, and that allows them to offset losses that they're making
Mhm.
elsewhere across the globe, um, it makes sense. And it might be the only way they're in position to help keep costs down or keep from having to
Mhm.
continue to push costs up. The thing that I found probably the most interesting about this state of play was the sheer number of games that were announced that are not out, that were coming to PS4 and PS5.
PS5. Yes.
Like, since when, Sony? Like, you
We
believe in
said we
console
weren't gonna do
generations.
the
Like, we
we were
don't.
gonna make the line in the sand and call it a day, but we backpedaled that like four different times.
Yeah, I mean, but realistically, does it make sense to have it? It really does tell you that while, yes, there are a lot of people who have moved into a PlayStation 5, they are still seeing a lot of people who are
Mhm.
still playing on PS4, who haven't moved to a
100%.
PS5. And a lot of that, again, it tells me that that's exactly what the case is, specifically in Japan. That
Mhm.
in Japan, people have not moved from the PS4 to the PS5. They're still playing on PS4. Otherwise, you don't do a state of play where you basically make every game you talk about is like, oh,
PS4
coming to
compatible as well
PS4 and
too.
coming to PS5 next in like February. Like, these, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
these aren't old games. I mean, some of them are like remakes and stuff like that. They're
Mhm.
not like all necessarily powerhouse games. There was a lot of indie titles and stuff like that, but you're like, you know, come into a console that's 15 years old. Like, for real. Like, why are you doing that? Because you're still making a lot of money. There's a lot of, like, you have such a high install base that letting that install base go just doesn't make
Doesn't make
sense.
sense.
It doesn't make sense. Like, it's almost like if they took a page out of Microsoft's own book when Phil Spencer said, we lost the most important battle when we lost the war where everybody started buying their stuff digitally, and now all their stuff is available backwards. Like, they made a point of doing essentially a whole commercial that was like, it's the 5-year anniversary of the PS5, and in that time, all we've done is make it more expensive, but we added speakers and we made it so you can play it on a monitor, and like, hopefully this PS5 works really well on your desktop setup. But like, it's not a desktop, and you're not talking about releasing all your games on PC. You're talking about adding in speakers and a headset, and then being able to use a PlayStation Portal, and like, you're talking about all the different ways that now people are going to be able to enjoy stuff that's PS5, including the fact that they just added cloud streaming, which will allow you to play games that are PS5 games without a PS5, just having a PlayStation Portal. That's a new move for them. That is easily a direct answer to what Microsoft is trying to do, right? And it makes a lot of sense, because you have such a high install base. There are so many people that are already there that the idea of like leaving them behind and trying to force them to either trade it in, get rid of it, and move on to another thing, it just doesn't make sense. So you need to continue to feed that population while you also try to talk them into buying a new console, right? And so even if you buy the new console, you can still buy these games and have it on either one. You don't necessarily need to trade your old console in. Buy a new one, and now you have two consoles, and put the PS4 in the old room or whatever, and put the PS5 out here, and you can still play the games on either one, or whatever it is. That's actually probably not true, because Sony, bless their hearts, they're probably still two completely different SKUs. You got to buy it for PS4, and if you have a PS5, you got to buy it for PS5. They're probably not. It probably doesn't work that way. It's probably not cross-buy, whatever. Like, they're still playing dirty ball as far as that's concerned. But again, it's business. I do think that I think it's very interesting that they're doing it, and that we're here. But I think it speaks to the state of the industry. And I think it is a necessary move. I think that when they look at their numbers and they look at their books, they must be seeing that. They're like, yo, we need to. What's the smartest thing we could possibly do right now, considering how things are going and where the numbers are? And like, yep, we can say that we're doing way better than Microsoft all day, or even if we say we're doing better than Nintendo all day, but like, our numbers still aren't where we need them to be. How do we make our shareholders happy? What can we do to put more money on the table? Here's the plan. Like, let's actually advertise to our own folks. You know what I mean? In our home area. So let's talk about games. What did you see that you liked?
Couple things. So first one that really piqued my interest after getting through the whole entire thing was the Tokyo Extreme Racer.
Bro, yeah,
that was really cool. Like, first when I saw it, it was like, oh, Tokyo Drift vibes, MF Doom, like all, like everything that's currently, like, it checks those boxes for me. And I know we've played, being at MagFest, we've played a couple of those racing games. This literally spoke to me in the console form. So I was like, that's probably going to be a day one. One that actually piqued my interest that I think is a little bit different in my wheelhouse. Inko Beanie.
okay.
That one. Normally I'm not it's like a slice of life type of game. You're watching Inko Beanie, which is like a little mini market. You're a student, your aunt's gone away, and like you're manning the store, stocking shelves. But the cool part is, like, while you're doing this, as your customers come in, you're talking to them, you're hearing different stories and things going on as you're doing this. I think that was a little bit different for me. And I was like, I kind of like the aspect of where they're going with it. So probably going to be interested in actually picking that up. A small addition to something. Now, I don't play Gran Turismo, but for people that are hardcore racing fanatics that play like Gran Turismo, like, they're adding in, and at first I thought this was just kind of like just stating it, but like they're adding like a 24-hour race into Gran Turismo, and they meant it. And I was like, oh, it's an interesting concept. I would like to hear more of how that fully works. I'm not gonna play it, but
Hey, dog, you can't stay up to play games for 24 hours anyway. We literally just talked about that.
But I'm interested to see how like that actually plays out for it.
Yeah.
Obviously they talked about Marvel Tocom Souls, which were already cool. We're already down for that. Couple addition of characters they're adding into it. I'm like, cool. We're getting another bit. We're getting an open or not another closed beta that's coming. So I was like, cool with that. I think those were probably the main ones. Only other thing like which was interesting. The Blaze Blue game,
Entropy
the
Effect
like,
X.
yeah,
That joint
which
looks
was.
dope.
I'm normally not the type that likes though, like the Castlevania, like the type of thing. But I was like, I was like, you may have gotten me with this one. But I think for me, those were the ones that stood out the most that I would be interested in for it.
Yeah, there was an indie title close to the beginning of it called like Motion Wreck, which is again kind of like one of those side scroller platformer, but it was like as you move through the space, you record your movements, and then you can play back your movements to solve like the next puzzle, like to get across the next thing. And I was like, puzzle platforming and puzzle is like I might have to get down. Octopath Traveler 0. I wasn't expecting that. Look, the 2D HD 3D thing is starting to wear thin. It still looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's starting to wear thin. There were like 3 or 4 games that had that look
like,
to them. I think the Dragon Quest 7 like remakes thing. I don't know. That joint just looks stupid. I'm not a huge fan of Dragon Quest games, but I guess look for the people who love it. You know what I mean? That's cool. Tokyo Extreme Racer definitely was a standout for me. Specifically because I used to play the old ones. I was a fan of the original ones. So an arcade racer might be nice. Right now, I'll be honest. Like looking at it, part of me, the minute they said the name, I was like, "Oh my goodness, some Tokyo Extreme Racer." But then I was looking at it, and I was like, "I don't know, bro. This joint looks kind of janky." Like I was watching the motion when they were driving. I was like, and then I just thought to myself, maybe it's because I don't drive in like third person, like behind the car, and I was like, maybe that's why it looks so weird to me.
Yeah.
I have to drive from like the hood view or the street view, which I know defeats the purpose for a lot of people. They want to see their car. I don't care. I want to win the race. I just, you know what I mean? Tokon Fighting Souls, I guess how can I not be excited, right? They're adding Spider-Man and Ghost Rider. I did think it was interesting that they specifically chose Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider, instead of Johnny Blaze. And I like that they specified that there's a story reason why they chose Robbie Reyes. I think that was pretty interesting. Yeah,
because when he asked him the question and he was like, "Yeah, I can't go into much detail." I was like, okay, you've piqued my interest a little bit here.
Yeah, and then like the new stages, the X Mansion, like it's cool. I'm with it. Those were really the standout things, and then again, obviously, having a Japanese exclusive PS5 again, super interesting to see. To see them do that. Obviously, there's a lot more going on than on the surface, but overall, I mean, I don't think it was a great state of play. I think mostly it was
okay. Like
yeah. And then it was like, well, it's not for me. Like, I don't, I like, I'm sure that for people who like Elden Ring,
Have at it. That close to have at it.
means nothing to me. But I know that it's a big deal for other people. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter to me. So I think that was cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still think it's interesting. Like before, I don't mean to go,
No,
that they introduced the. They're trying to do another display, which I thought was
yeah. Again,
like
it's Sony, right? It's
yeah
just what they do. Like, look, having a display again. That's what I was saying when they're like, yeah, we have these speakers,
speakers.
and
Yeah.
we're adding this 27-inch like QLED display, that has a charging stand for your
For the
controller.
controller.
I again, at some point, they have to admit that the PC is where they need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just like another step in trying to, they're working their way towards it. I think the only reason why they haven't done it is because they don't want to admit it. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're holding on to the idea of the need to sell PS5s because that is the thing that you have always known as your business
Mm-hmm.
model, has always been like, we sell the console, and then we force people to buy the games that go to that console, and we lock the games to that console generation. But that's just not how things work anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
the way that there was a lot of talk this week about, there was a survey that was done with developers, where like 70% of the developers that were in the survey, and it was like 300 and some odd people, I can't remember the
Mm-hmm.
total number, said they feel like Steam is a monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, in order for them to do anything on PC or to sell or whatever, like, they don't have a choice but to be on Steam, and that it's a monopoly, right? And it's not like they don't have others. It's not like there isn't an Epic Store or GOG, or there are other places where technically you can go and you can buy, but like, Steam is more or less synonymous with PC gaming. In almost the same way that Windows is synonymous with PCs.
Mm-hmm.
So it it I don't know what that means. The idea that even the developers are saying that they feel like the storefront where they have to sell their games, at least on PC, is that they feel like it's a monopoly. Does that mean that at some point somebody forces a change at Steam that opens the door for PlayStation to be like, we're doing a PC store, or again for Microsoft to continue to go with the Windows Store / Xbox Store and say like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, but I think they're doing the thing that makes the most sense, which is just like, we're playing ball and we're just putting every storefront on our console. Like, our next console is basically going to be a PC, right? And we're just going to put everything on it because we would rather have you in our ecosystem. Like, if they can figure out how to monetize having you logged into an Xbox Live account,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even when you log into your Steam account to play games that you purchased from Steam. I know, like, we're going down another, we're off the rails, but
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are a lot of people who look at the idea of a business model where Microsoft puts out the next quote unquote console. And again,
Mm-hmm.
look, I'm saying this from a perspective of like, I don't think there's any way possible that the PlayStation 6 doesn't also end up doing the same thing. Like, I don't see it. But if you're Microsoft and you put out another Xbox and it's called an Xbox, whatever the name of it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is a glorified PC, which again, that's what the Xbox has been the entire lifespan in all 25 years, which again, Next year is the 25th anniversary, right? So it's always been that. But calling a spade, it's a glorified PC that is supposed to simplify the processes for you. The updating the drivers and dealing like all of that kind of stuff is if they can find a way to take the PC gaming side of it and actually simplify it, it might do what they need. But the business model that says, well, nah, if you have a Steam account, you can just go in here on this machine and you can buy Steam games. How does Microsoft make money on that? Right? Because they're not getting a piece of what Steam gets when Steam sells a game, whether it's on that box or not, whether it's on that box or on some other PC or whatever. Like, Microsoft doesn't make money off of that. So what's the business model? The business model, Jokes, is your data. It's your data. How long have I been telling you? How long have I been saying it? Information, your data, is the new gold. It is the new oil. It is literally the most lucrative thing that exists. And if I'm Microsoft and I already have most of that information anyway. Because 98% of people who are playing on PC are playing on a Windows PC, and these are people that are logged into a Windows account somewhere when they log on, right? But still, there's money to be made. The only reason why Bing exists, and bro, like, Bing exists, bro, and whether people think about it, say it or not, whether or not the word Google is synonymous with looking things up, Google it, right? That's what people say. That doesn't, it's like Band-Aid isn't the only brand of bandages that gets sold and makes money, right? There's Curad, there's, right? Like, there are still companies out there that make tons of money and eke out more than a living selling the exact same product that has become synonymous with, oh man, are you hurt? You need a Band-Aid? Like, that's just what they call it. Oh, you need to look it up? Google it. You know what I mean? Bing exists and they make money in it. They do make money on it. If they weren't making money on it, it would be gone. Because every other thing they do that doesn't make them money is gone. Where's Mixer? Gone. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, and the reason why they make money in Bing is because they sell you ads, because they have your information. It's not just what are you doing, what time are you awake, where are you, all information they have because you're logged on and they can see it. It's what are you looking up? What are you looking for? Who are you shopping for? What kind of presents are you buying, right? Like, the information that Google has on you by you using Chrome as your web browser, right? And Microsoft continues to try to force you into their web browser, right? There's money in that, and that money comes in advertising, and the advertising is targeted because they have your information. They know who you are and what you like and what you see. It's just part of it. So if they put out a box that, yes, you log into an Xbox account or your Windows account, let's not, like, if you could log into your next Xbox the same way every time you open up your HP laptop, you type in your PIN code and you're logged in under your name and, you know, whatever, and all that information is there. If you could log into the next console the same way, they have that information, bro. And you got to understand the kind of information that they have on you. It's not, it is what TV you're using. What the model, you understand? Like, it's everything. HDMI cables carry data.
Oh, it carries data. Oh, you get that
too? It's not an analog video signal. It carries data. It knows this is the kind of TV you have. This is what you're doing on it. This is how old the model is. Like all of that information is available to them.
Mhm.
That's what the business model is. The
Yeah.
business
Jay
model
Dizzle said the
is
same thing. Always been about the data.
straight up.
Your
It's always
algorithm
been
has
about
a
data.
price.
Your algorithm is so sellable. It's so sellable. Your data is so sellable. And it used to be that the only way to have it was to get you to sign up to give them your email. Well, let me add you to my email list.
Hmm.
And every month we send you out an email, right? But those used to be actual physical mailing lists. We're gonna send you a mailing address, whatever. But those couldn't necessarily tell you what people's shopping habits were, right?
Hmm.
Like, but people also weren't able to shop at 2 a.m. and now they can. Right? So like, does Amazon have your information so that they know what you're shopping for and blah blah blah? Absolutely.
Hmm.
But so does your ISP. Like what however you're surfing, somebody besides them knows that information too. Like it's just that's how it works. So if you remember a few months back, I told y'all about that TV. I think you signed up for one.
Hmm.
You just on the waiting list now, right?
Oh no! Funny enough, you brought that up. They sent me the thing. Hey, we're ready to send it to you. Where are we sending your TV to?
Hey,
So oh, I wasn't quite prepared for that because I mean, I know where I will put it at.
sure.
Um, so I just got to pull the trigger so they send me the TV. And
Listen, that was what 6 months ago.
about so.
You were on the waiting list, but doesn't that tell you how many people are like, yeah,
Are in there
I'll take
for
a
it.
free
Yep.
TV. Do you have any idea how many people's data they have? It
Oof.
literally it has a screen on the bottom below
So
you
it can
can't
send you
turn
those
off, dog.
advertisements. You can't turn it off.
You can't turn it off, Joe. That TV will be paid for so fast you don't even understand.
Uh-huh.
You understand? Like that's where we are, right? It was like 2 weeks ago. I was like, yeah, like it'll be that the consoles are built into a TV, right? Like the hard
Hmm.
drives will just be there, and it won't necessarily be that you need to play from the cloud because you'll be able to put a hard drive. Dog, look, this like you can put a terabyte in an SD card.
I know. It's not even when I heard that
A
or seen
couple
that for
of
the first
terabytes in
time,
an SD card.
I was just like, that just don't make no sense.
This connects to my phone. It's a terabyte, bro. Cell phones have terabytes in them anyway.
Facts.
I am streaming this right now on my cell phone, split screen, reading my notes. Like they're gonna put hard drives directly in the TVs and sell you it. You think Sony's not planning that with that monitor they just, bro? It's you'll be able to play from the cloud, but everything can still be stored on the hard drive that's in the. My daughter's most recent TV has, I think the hard drive on it is like 15 gigs. 15 gigs. It's not a lot,
Mhm.
right? But it could certainly be a lot more. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't take anything. So,
What else, Sam?
what up, kid? Um, we just have to bear in mind that is where we are, and
Hmm.
that information is it's there's so much money in that information. The majority of money that is made by most tech companies is made in advertising,
Hmm.
or it's made in the money you pay them so that you don't have to see ads. It's one of the two. It's one of the two. When YouTube took over as the most viewed television like app, period, and is over Spotify for music too, they make so much money in ads It's ridiculous. And people have just become used to having it, which again,
Mhm.
we lived with ads for so long on everything we had. That's all radio was, that's all TV was.
Mhm.
The way I was taught from a music standpoint, as a musician, as a person making music, looking to be able to record, do shows, sell albums, I was taught to look at radio as a
Mhm.
24-hour commercial because that's all it is. That's all it is. Everything on the radio, including the songs, but most importantly, the songs, they are commercials because on the radio, you would release a single, the single goes to the radio, and
Mhm.
you want the radio to play your single because technically you're using that single to advertise the entire album. Go
Album.
buy the whole album. That's what it is. So the commercial breaks, the ads that are in between songs, really are just more commercials for something else. And now we're going to play you more commercials that just happen to be music
Mhm.
to try to get you to go purchase an album, right? You like this artist, you love their music. Here's another song by them. It's on the so and so album. Go get that album, right? That's the point. So everything we listened to, all of that stuff for so long it was all a commercial. It was all advertising. That piece of it hasn't really changed. It's just in a new form.
Mhm.
Um, and on that note, right now, since somehow we managed to tie the advertising and your information back to music, I told you we were going to talk about AI. Right now, for the first time ever, there's a number one hit on the Billboard chart that is a completely AI song, AI artist, AI production. Everything about this song is completely AI. It is a country music song. It is number one on Billboard. Obviously, this has never happened before. It's not the first time that an AI song has charted at all,
Yeah.
but it's the first time it's been a number one. It's a song called Walk My Walk. It's by an AI artist called Breaking Rust. Okay.
Huh.
Breaking Rust has 35,000 followers on IG. They have 2 million followers on Spotify. Okay. Which, by the way, they are a verified artist on Spotify.
Mhm.
Blank bio. A single black and white picture of a generic white dude in a cowboy hat with a little bit of a beard. That's it. Right? The spaces that we exist in, that space is changing so fast. And for the first time, I think we're in a place, it's not the first time we have to ask it, but we really do have to ask how much it matters. So, like, I think that the majority of people who are enjoying the song, listening to the song, following on Spotify, following on Instagram, have no idea that it's
They
all
were
AI
following
generated.
AI.
That's what I think. I think the majority of people have no idea. I think there are plenty of people who think it's neat or think it's cool that
Mhm.
can happen and it's a thing and are following or whatever because of that. But I have to look at the landscape and now we're gonna start to generalize things. I'm using the fact that just happened like today.
Mhm.
That song hit number one on Billboard, and now we have to kind of generalize things, right? Because how long is it before the video games we're playing are AI generated, right? And a lot of again, we talked about this like last week. That Snoop Dogg
Mhm.
game,
Yeah.
that courtroom
Yeah.
chaos game, this AI game that like Amazon lays off 14,000 people today again, and they talked about it being a total of 30,000. Well, as of today, it's looking like an additional. So like it was 14, and it was going to be like
Mm-hmm.
another 14 or 15 to make it a total of 30. Well, now they're like it was the 14, and now it's probably going to be another 30. So
Oh,
like 45,000 people total, right? As AI
it's
takes
just
over
coming in
and
to
they're able to
be
do things that they don't need
the
people.
human
Look,
element.
there's a double purge that's happening. Some of it is, even though it's been 4 or 5 years, for a lot of these businesses that found a way to thrive during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
that just like Amazon was like a lot of the only ways to get stuff. People were afraid to go out, they're ordering like crazy, whatever, and you just scale up through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Gaming was the same way, right? People were just they were stuck in the house, they're playing games, they're buying switches, they're ordering them on Amazon. You know what I mean? 'Cause they can't go anywhere, or they're making you come to the door to deliver it to them because they bought it from Best Buy. Best Buy finally got some, and somebody come walking out to my car. All of those things have finally gotten to a point where the companies cannot maintain paying these people because the money's not coming in the way that it
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
was
Was.
in order for them to continue to do it. So some of it is we are laying off people who we don't quote unquote have the overhead. Now, that is a very, very, very difficult and hard pill to swallow when you're talking about
Yeah.
Amazon and the kind of money they make.
Right.
But the thing that has happened on the back end of that is they hired a bunch of people who were the kind of people that were really smart and were able to write the code that got themselves fired. They scaled up, brought in a lot of people who could write that code. They wrote it and made themselves
And now,
obsolete, right? That's what that is. Like, now we don't need you anymore. It's basically like being a contract worker, right? So, jokes, do people care? Like,
I
well,
hate that.
let me try to frame this just for you before I have you answer this. We're gonna use music again.
Mm-hmm.
Jokes, for a long time, I was a really, really, I wouldn't say avid, but I was a really big fan of R. Kelly. And some things happened that made it questionable whether or not you should be a fan
Mm-hmm.
of R. Kelly. Now, whether or not you are a fan of the person can be different from whether or not you are a fan of the content they created, right? It's almost undeniable that there's some really great music that came out of that. And it is what it is. But there is always the battle of whether or not it's okay to support that person in any way when,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, especially with younger generation that I think don't really know the difference anyway,
Mm-hmm.
because everything is on a screen for them
Yep.
and always has been. Does it matter, bro? Like, if you are a person who enjoys mumble rap, like literally listening to people for years say, I don't really care about what they talking about. I just the beat go hard, the beat hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
like the beat do something. I don't really care what he's saying. You know, like, that's a very different thing. So like, yeah, if there are people who are complaining that like this AI song that's number one on the country charts, like it sounds compressed and it sounds tingy. It doesn't sound like, great. Like, they're complaining
Mm-hmm.
about the audio quality. Dog, you know how long I sold people music and speakers and whatever, and sold people HD TVs and just had people be like, I don't see the difference. It all look the same to me. Do people? Will it even matter, jokes?
I feel like it's like half and half. I do think there is a bunch of people that absolutely do not care. They'll hear it come out. You'll tell them, "Yo, this is an AI. This ain't a real person," and they're just gonna look at you like, really? That's something that can be done? Hey, yo, that's cool. But then you got the other half, which it's like, yo, if we can just let a computer just sit here and generate songs, create people to play and sing and do all of this, where does that become now? Oh, just like you said, like it's like my job is obsolete now. Like I'm trying to create music. I'm trying to create these awesome lyrics that have a story and have something to it, but I can just go to the computer now and just get it to do everything and make these. I feel like it's literally at this point right now, it's split. And I think I think it's some people, one, don't understand still. They're like, listen, AI, where it has its good things and it can help, for all those good things it can do, it can end up ruining the way the creative processes can actually be.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to try to pretend like we've talked about it, jokes. Like I use ChatGPT um to help streamline some of the work, right, that we have to do. So I'll take a show like this one when we get done recording it. I'll go into YouTube and I go to the captions area, right, where I can put the subtitles and stuff in. And YouTube auto generates subtitles, which, by the way, that's AI that does that. Like, let's not, right? And it used to be trash, and now it's pretty solid, right? I go into the back end of YouTube. I go to the subtitles, and there's an option to download the text for the subtitles. And really what that allows you to do is you can go in and you can make changes to it. You can correct it. You can update the time codes and stuff like that on it. So you can change it and put it back in. Like you can actually do it directly in YouTube, but like you can download the text or whatever, and then it just comes out as a text file. I take that text file and I drop it in the ChatGPT. I drag and drop it in the ChatGPT, and then I tell ChatGPT to make me an SEO optimized title and description for this YouTube video that includes the hashtags, the tags, and the and also the time codes. And it knocks it out. And 97% of the time, it's been, honestly, it's great. And here's the thing. One, a lot of content on YouTube, on Spotify, is AI generated. There is a lot of content that you are now, as a human creator, you are working against computer generated product content that it knows how to fight the algorithm, how to work with the algorithm, and how to make it so that it is creating content that will be seen more, that will generate more views, that will generate more ad revenue than anybody else. So if you're not doing something like that, like we would spend a good amount of time trying to make sure you write the right title and you have the right kind of description to make sure it's SEO optimized. And again, if you're not, for anybody who's watching or listening, SEO means search engine optimized. Search engine optimization is really what you want. And that's a thing that's been around for a long time. But it is important that search engines and the algorithm can find the content that you're putting in based on the things that people are searching for and looking for. And by making sure that you have certain words, certain things in a certain order in your description, in your title, it helps make sure that what you're posting gets surfaced ahead of stuff that other people are posting, because otherwise you're just in the background with everything else. That's why I use it. That's what it's for. Now, I'm going to tell y'all the same story I told Jokes. I had an instance where I used it to put something together, and what it did was it, at the end of the description, it credits us. So it will say hosted by Gage and Jokes of Loading Snacks. Like it will put that information in there automatically. For some reason, I'm not going to tell you what name. That's just going to make the story more not important. But it took the name Gage and it gave me a last name. Like when it typed it out, it had a last name, and I was like, "Where in the world did that come from?" And it's gonna be real interesting when I pull the text of this joint to see what it says about
What
this
happens?
conversation. But I asked, I typed in, "Where did you get the last name for Gage?" That's all I. Where did you get the last name for Gage? Enter. It thought about it and it said, and listen, and I quote, it said, "Oh, you're right. My bad." Hold on, Slim. What you mean? The joint said, "You're right. My bad." In the text, it doesn't actually say the last name anywhere. I'll fix it. And it did. It fixed it. But in my head, I'm like, nah, but you didn't answer my question. I asked you where you got the last name from. So I typed again, I said, "Where did you get the surname for Gage?" And it said at some point, it said it's not in the text that you just uploaded, but at some point in another conversation we had, you okayed that last name. Like you signed off on it that it was correct or whatever. So I just went back and pulled it from there. So I said, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I must have missed that because I don't remember that at all. So I typed, which conversation was it so that I can go and find it. I want to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then it told me, oh, well, I don't actually have access to all the individual conversations. So now I'm like, is this joint lying to me? Because you literally just told me that you got the information from an old conversation.
Skynet.
So what are you talking about? Right? Listen.
Hey, it'd have been one thing if you'd have told me somehow it got your actual government and put it at the end of it. Like I would, I could have probably accepted that to a certain degree, but then at the same time, it's
that would
like
have still been scary, bro.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. It wasn't, as far as I'm concerned, it wasn't even a real last name. Like, again, I'm not going to go into what name it gave because that's just going to take the story to a whole different level. But here's the thing. Every time I use it, it gets better. And I know it's not just because I'm using it. I know it's because other people are using it. I know it's because other information is out there. I know it's because the information is there for it to glean, for it to use. And as it gets better, I know that even if people right now are complaining about what that AI song that happens to be #1 on Billboard right now, what it sounds like, in what I think is a very short time, I think people won't be able to tell.
Yeah.
That's what I think the issue is. I think people won't be able to tell. So I think right now people can tell. And I think it's gonna feel like, this is weird, you know what I mean, or whatever. And I think that's gonna be across the board. Because it's only a matter of time before it's not just like a game that you can play on your phone or like, you know what I mean, some like kind of like mobile type game. It's going to be full on like console or PC games. And a lot of stuff is already kind of done that way, at least character creation and stuff like that. And it's only a matter of time before it's in your animation, like in your anime. Like it's like, it's only a matter of time. And like for a long time, it was really easy. It's like, man, that joint can't even make fingers. It's getting better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's getting way better. And so I think there is going to come a time where clearly right now there are people who can't tell the difference. It's only going to get harder to do. What do you think need to be? Because again, from a creative, like everything that we talk about on this show really is, it comes from a place of creatives and creativity, right? We our friends are artists, whether they draw, whether they do music, whether they, whatever, right? Like there is for sure something that is happening here that is industry changing
Mm-hmm.
across the board. But I also want to make it very clear that these things have always happened, but they weren't able to more or less create on its own. Like you couldn't just give it a prompt and say, "Hey, make a song that sounds like this in this
Mm-hmm.
style with this person's voice." Like you can do that now. There was definitely a time. There were definitely people who played instruments who would look at like what hip hop was, scratching on a beat or using a beat machine and being like,
Mm-hmm.
"That's not music." There's no creativity in that. They stole the sounds. You know what I mean? They're using other people's samples. They're using other people's, somebody else's creativity. Somebody wrote that. Somebody wrote notes. You have people who make millions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
making music and can't read a lick. Don't know notes at all. Right? And they're producers. They're making beats, right? They're creating music for people. They're not even necessarily writers or so that stuff happens. Like it's again, it certainly isn't new.
Mm-hmm.
It is beginning to creep into spaces where I think it was much more difficult for that to happen, right?
Agreed.
You have that AI actress that we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was like, well, you couldn't possibly quote unquote replace them. But bear in mind that 25 years ago, when the Final Fantasy movie came out in theaters,
Yeah.
Square literally said, "This is going to be a new actress.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be an actress. We're going to take this same character that we created and made as the star in this movie, and we're going to put her in other movies."
Mm-hmm.
Had that movie not bombed, because
That
it
would have
bombed,
been the start of things way back then.
bro, even if they were still only computer generated movies, like if they were still just animated movies, but they took the exact same model, figure, the face, whatever, and just put her in different clothes and had the same voice actress
Mm-hmm.
and whatever, and had that same model be in other things, it still could have quote unquote made a star out of, to some extent, it'd be like how Bugs Bunny can show up dressed as anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In anything or whatever, right? He could be, he's just like Barbie does everything. She works at McDonald's and she's an astronaut. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, I don't know, Jokes. Like how long you think it is before it really is? Like how long you think before we see the first complete like console AI generated game?
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me within the next 2 to 3 years. I feel like it's something that clearly people are already experimenting with on smaller scales,
Mm-hmm.
clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to take one of these big companies. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if, like, EA, now that's owned by the Saudi group,
Saudi
decides to,
Arabia.
like,
Mm-hmm.
be like, listen, we're going to invest and we want you guys to start looking at doing stuff like this and how we can generate it. And of course, once again, it's a double edged sword. It's like once we find the people that can do it and they can build the games the right way, then it's like, well, what do we need you for now?
Hey, Jokes, how long before AI replaces wrestling?
Hey, listen, that's funny you bring that up because someone. Hey, listen, I was reading an article. Someone was like, "Yo, I really think this dude Triple H right now is feeding into ChatGPT. Is like, hey, yo, give me a 2.5 hour presentation that I need for Raw with some of the way things have been going because it's like between obviously people always say a lot of things are predictable and all of this, but they're like, man, some of the stuff they be putting in here be sound like a computer AI just generates it. doesn't care about, building a story to try to get us to someplace. We just get from point A to point B. That is it. But hey, listen.
But here's the thing. This is all right. So look, let me tell you why I think, one, you could be right, but two, why that's important and it's perfect. And we talked about this. There are mandates that come down from the highest levels of streaming services, like that literally say to the people that are creating like shows and movies for Netflix, for Prime, for whatever, that literally says, as the writer for this show, you're making it too complicated. You need to dumb it down. You need to make it simpler and more accessible, because nobody's actually watching the show. Like, the screen is on, things are happening on the screen. However, they're in their phone. This is on and they're listening to it, but they're not really paying attention. So you need to simplify the plot and you need to repeat things over and over again. And you have to understand that as wrestling moves into places like Netflix, where these are the kind of mandates that are coming from Netflix to the people creating shows for Netflix, that wrestling isn't, they're not exempt from people having wrestling on while they're on their phone, and they're texting about it, they're tweeting about it, they're posting on IG about it, they're recording content about it, they're scrolling and letting it play in the background while it's happening. So yes, these stories need to be shorter, they need to be simpler, get us from A to B. We can't do these long, drawn out, complicated things that take 6 months anymore. It's time for us to just, somebody needs a new belt. Let's get somebody a new belt. You know what? Cena never had the Intercontinental belt. Put the Intercontinental belt on Cena. He's going to lose it in a week. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do a tournament, and they're going to decide who's going to fight him. And you know what? Nobody who that's in the tournament is actually going to end up fighting him. We're going to bring somebody in who hasn't wrestled in 15 years, that used to be a rival of his. We're going to make that be his last match, because wouldn't that be dope to do that and put an Intercontinental Championship on Chris Jericho when he shows back up?
Like, it sounds like you didn't watch the last episode of The Finisher, and I ain't even upload that joint yet.
Hey, bro, listen. I don't have to, dog, because it's all predictable. Like, I'm just saying, like, jokes. But it makes sense, because again, I don't even think the people who like this country music song enough that they made it number one because it has the most streams and because it has the most, I don't even think they're really listening to it, because they're busy doing other things while it's just playing in the background. I like the beat, I can move to it or whatever. To some extent, right? I have an appreciation for that. Like, for all of the people, listen, for all of the trash that people talk about, like mumble rap and mumble rappers or whatever, the appreciation that I have for mumble rap / mumble rappers comes from a place of, like, I love music, right? And I love music of all kinds. And, when I was 19, 20, 21, I was listening to bands like Les Nubian, right? Who were considered French hip hop. I don't know French. I know that. I like the music, and I liked what I was hearing, and I liked the way they were doing it, but I didn't know what they were saying.
Right.
K-pop, is clearly one of the biggest things. And truthfully, people know the words, can say the words, and don't know what they're saying.
Don't know what it means.
You know what I'm saying? Don't know what it means, right? That's like, in a lot of ways, that's always been a thing. There have always been people who liked music where they couldn't understand. Like for real, I had a lot of love for Bone Thugs. Most people had no idea what they were saying. They just kind of, and they caught the cadences, and the cadences mattered because it's like an instrument, right? That's what I heard. And then they get to the part they know, and then they say that part real loud and get excited when they get to that part. But for the most part, They don't know any of what the words are. And for a lot of people, rap has always been like that. It doesn't matter how
Mm-hmm.
complicated it was, how good it was, the stories they were telling or whatever. For a lot of people on the outside listening in, they just heard people talking and it didn't mean anything to them. And it was like made up words and made up nonsense. It's a lot of slang. It doesn't make any sense, whatever. And they don't know what they're saying. It doesn't necessarily mean they didn't like the music. There are people who were singing the songs, singing the hooks, and had no idea what the slang was, what it was they were actually saying. So, not being able to understand, quote unquote, the words in music,
Mm-hmm.
people go to the opera, they singing in Italian,
Or
they
whatever.
don't know what they talking about. They don't know what they're
Nope.
saying. So, truthfully, what difference does it make? When I hear somebody say, there's a part of me that goes, when I hear somebody young go, well, I don't even really hear what they talking about. I just like the beat. You know what? Go listen to Bach, Tchaikovsky, like because it's just instrumental music, and you
Mm-hmm.
might find something that you really like because you're not interested in words anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should be listening to instrumental music. Maybe that it in a weird way it doesn't bother me now coming from a place of being a writer and having written a lot of stuff. I'm like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
dog, that's trash.
You,
And so if you're comparing it on that level, then it's like, well, nah, that's it's garbage. You know what I mean? But people have always been able to shovel out a version of something that people
mm-hmm.
would adhere to. Some of the greatest songs ever released, technically trash. Whoop, there it is, trash. Who let the dogs out? Trash. Like jokes, trash, bro. There are songs that people use for their intros to come into the wrestling ring. Those songs are trash, dog. But they're hype, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody's about to get clothesline. We're all about it. So it's on our playlist. We sing, like it's just trash. If it evokes something in you, like I don't have a problem with that. So I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like if I'm not, I don't know that I'm in a place where I'll look at it and I'll be like, "Yo, this is not okay." I think that in a lot of ways, what's going to end up happening is AI is going to force creatives to continue to be more creative, because even in a landscape where you have all these people who create and whatever, you have always had people that I personally feel like stole from other people, right? Weren't
Mm-hmm.
really doing anything original. A lot of things sound the same. Truthfully, Jokes, you have no idea how many of the number one songs on the radio, in pop, in top 40, were all written by the same person,
Oh yeah.
even though it's a different artist performing the song.
Each one.
Oh,
Yep.
that's a Beyonce song, or that's a so and so song, or that's a
Same
Max
person
wrote
wrote
all
it.
them songs. You know what I mean? Like, and they start to sound the same. You can tell a person's beat signature by their production. You can tell, you know what I mean? Like it all starts to sound the same. So if anything, I think that this will force people to try to be creative in ways that they feel like can't be duplicated
Mm-hmm.
by AI, by a computer, by a program. They will have to get back to really doing live shows. One of the reasons I think K-pop, one of the reasons I'm positive K-pop is as popular as it is because they do shows, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like they perform and preform, bro. Like they do it all, dog. And I mean, from beginning to end, well-oiled machine. I'm not saying that it's great, the machine they put them through, but I would say that, like, if you compare what you would pay to go see, not everybody, obviously that's not the case, but if you paid money to go to a K-pop concert versus you paid money to go see somebody you just like,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna see a difference in what the show is. And I'm talking about even if you take out the pyrotechnics, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
and Chris Brown flying around the stage. I'm not even.
Execution, like the execution of those small things, like
it because like we're not just putting out a song. Like we're not just like, oh, I have a new song and I'm gonna debut the song. No. This song has a dance, and the dance is very specific, and you need to know the dance. And then the song has a fan chant, and we put that out and we send that to people, and then everybody knows it. And then we do a show, and everybody comes to the show, and they all know what part to join in on. It's like it's built in. You know what I mean? From the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much work that goes in to taking a single song. They don't even really do albums. Like they do, but like they'll do like 5 songs and eat off them songs because they'll do 10 videos for one song. Like just we're gonna shoot it again, different outfits,
Mm-hmm.
same dance. You know what I mean? Like it's the phenomenon isn't when I was growing up, it was like, yeah, we talk a lot about great singing groups and what happened to R&B and blah blah blah, but like nah, dog, like they didn't just sing, like they danced, like there was a whole thing, there was choreography to it, and people watched the videos and wanted to do the choreography and all that kind of stuff, and you
Mm-hmm.
just don't really get a lot of that kind of stuff anymore, right? And so the showmanship, the additive function of it, the being able to see somebody and know that they know the same thing you know by like it's a very different thing, and I think it's going to force creativity in a different direction. And I think everybody won't be trying to make an RPG, and everybody won't be trying to make a first person shooter, and everybody won't be trying, you know what I mean? Like I just think that it's going to force people to truly push themselves and think outside of the box instead of just trying to create whatever the current most popular thing already is. And what has been happening to the stuff that we love in gaming, the reason why developers are shutting down or being closed or whatever isn't necessarily because they don't have people there who have talent. It's because somebody at the top is going, what's really great? Fortnite. Not necessarily because it's great, but because it makes a lot of money. We needed something that does that. We need that. Go make that. And they'll go to a team of people who are like, we make great single player RPGs. And
Mm-hmm.
and somebody will say to them, that's awesome. Make it a first person shooter and put some RPG mechanics in it and figure out how to monetize it for like 6 years. And like it, and you take people who are creative in a specific wheelhouse and do a specific thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you try to force them to do the thing that is making a lot of money, or whatever. And so I think that the space for creativity and for people doing, like you're seeing it now, like indie games are really on a come up because they're doing
Mm-hmm.
smaller, shorter experiences where people are really good at doing a certain thing and they kind of stay in that wheelhouse and that's what they do. And so in a lot of ways, gone are the days where like you look at a company like an EA where for a long time, like we knew EA did sports. It's in the game. But like EA was doing a lot more than that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And you look at somebody like Naughty Dog, and it's like, well, they they only really do one kind of game. Yeah, but they're really good at doing that one kind of game. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? And so if you give me a second one of those, and then you do another one, but it's a different story, that story is that good, and the animation is that good, and the characters feel that real, so real. In fact, we can make a show out of it and put it on HBO, and it does really well. Like that kind of creativity and people being allowed to have budgets that make sense for the kind of thing that they're creating
Mm-hmm.
so that we don't overspend and we don't lose a bunch of money when it doesn't sell the way Fortnite sells, because we don't need to sell. There are artists who make a living never doing a top 10 song,
Mm-hmm.
right? They got a following, they have a Patreon, they have, people subscribe to them on YouTube, and they travel and they do shows, right? And people come to see them because they love them for that, and that's enough to sustain them and for them to live really well and keep doing the thing that they love doing. And so that corporate greed, I think, is going to kind of start to give way. And we're not
Mm-hmm.
going to get rid of the AI. Like it's going to be there.
Oh, it's gonna be here.
You
It's
know what
here
I
to
mean?
stay.
But the idea of people being like, we're going to start a Patreon or we're doing a YouTube channel where we're showing you our entire creative process. We're going to show you how we create the characters. We're going to show you how we built in the animation. We're going to show you how we chose the color palette. We're going to show you what the writing process was like and how we incorporated it. And we're going to introduce you to the people that we hired to do the music. And we're going to show you how we incorporate, like giving you that full, like behind the scenes. This is how we created the thing that you love, to prove / show that it was done by human people, that it was done by human hands, is going to turn into the thing that ends up being lucrative. And in all truth, anybody who's a creative right now who has issues with AI, that's the boat they should be on. They should be
Mm-hmm.
on the, let me shoot a video and upload a reel that shows you what my creative process. Let me show you how I draw. Let me show you how I started out by just making circles, and then I turn that into full lines, and then I turn that into color, and then how I send it to this person, and then they add, like, let me show you how I do it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
for all the artists that I know that use their Wacom pad and whatever and do everything digitally, whether it's in Photoshop or Affinity or something like that, there was
Mm-hmm.
a time when there were people who were like, that's BS because that's not done with real pencils and real markers or real watercolor or whatever. It's cheating to do it on a computer. It's cheating to do it with layers where you don't have to physically erase and you don't have
Race
to
and do
whatever. And
things
like,
on there.
I'm doing it on paper where if I have to erase it, it messes up the paper or it does something to it or whatever. I only get one shot at this. There are people who looked at those things, those advances, and being able to like loop something or draw and separate that out and put it on a separate layer from something, like all of that was cheating. All of that was
Mm-hmm.
not okay. And that's still how they're creating your comic books now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you I jokes, I think, you know, let's let people into the creative process. And I it doesn't solve it, but it staves off a lot of what I think, the issues are. And I think you end up having a lot of people who are really talented who don't, who maybe sign with an agency, but don't necessarily do big deals with a Universal or, or whatever. They go, I'm doing an indie film and I'm showing it at Sundance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then that does really well, and then it wins awards, and then they're like, well, let's put it in the theater, and then people go and see it in the theater, and then I, I think that's really what the answer is, and what's going to come out of it. And it doesn't mean that there won't be AI stuff that's generated. That's good, that people will enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's not possible, but I think that there will be a separation of people who are like, well, in the same way there are people who are like, I don't want to hear boom bap dip dop dip dop dop. I want to hear horns, and I want to see somebody on the drums. Like, I'd much rather listen to the jazz, or I much rather, like, I think that they're like that separation again is still like, you're gonna have people who appreciate one and people who enjoy the other, and I don't think there's really a huge difference. You know what I mean, anymore.
Very
So
valid.
we'll see how it turns out. This weekend will be at StellarCon at UMBC, StellarCon Canesville. Um, we will be doing some stage hosting. I'm hosting a panel for Christina V, very well known voice actress. Um, Looking forward to hanging out and doing that. Joe, you got that website?
Yep.
You can pop the website up. There are still tickets available. VIP is sold out, but there are still tickets available if
Mm-hmm.
anybody wants to come. If you see us there, say hi. Outside of doing the one panel, more than likely what we'll be doing is kind of what we normally do, and we don't ever really get a chance to do it at
Mm-hmm.
StellarCon, which is get a chance to actually roam around and talk to people at their tables and shoot interviews and do stuff like that there. So that's kind of what the plan is, for this go round. So um, please, by all means, if you're in the area and you're looking for something to do Saturday, please come check it out. Come hang out, and have a good time. It's always a good time there. Jokes, you got a new episode of The Finisher going up
Yes, sir.
tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. and next episode of The Finisher will be available. Funny enough, we broke things up. We talked a little bit about some news. Of course, John Cena now finally, after all these years, becoming the Grand Slam champion.
Mm.
But we also dig a little bit deeper into now. Is it time for WWE to kind of shift the way that they do their PLE format on there? That's our main
Mm.
discussion that we actually have on the show for it.
Okay. I dig it. I dig it. listen, as far as conventions and shows and stuff like that go, we get a little bit of a reprieve once we get out of this weekend. We don't have another convention until like the second weekend of December. That's Ocean City Comic Con. So I highly recommend you take a look at that. We have 2 panels there. That's a 2-day convention. StellarCon this weekend is just Saturday. Ocean City is 2 days now. We have a panel on Saturday and a panel on Sunday. One of those panels is the top 10 live action DC theatrical releases. That's going to be a doozy. Get prepared. And then also we're doing our Being Comfortable Being a Geek, which we are working to incorporate a little bit more of the mental health stuff into that discussion and kind of change that up. We have some really good guests lined up to be on that panel with us. So if you can come to Ocean City, hang out for a couple of days, come check out the panels. It'll be a good time. We're going to continue to take donations for Extra Life for Children's Miracle Network hospitals while we are there. Donations are still open. If you didn't have it and now you have it, or whatever it is, you can donate up through December 31st.
31st.
So by all means, feel free to do that. Thanks for doing that, Jokes. I appreciate it. I think that generally covers it and wraps it up. I want to give a shout out to Kay. Kay's been on the grind, dropping a lot of good reels and stuff like that and shorts. So if you're not actively following our Instagram, or if for whatever reason, you know how the algorithms tend to be, if you're not seeing our stuff kind of populate, even if you are following us, just go in, type our name in, type in Loading Snacks, go and check out some of the stuff there. Doing stuff like that seems to kind of reinvigorate the algorithm so that you can get what you want. There is also actually a way to reset your algorithm in Instagram. We're not going to go into that here. And not today, maybe next week. But there is a way to do it. You can look it up. There's a way to actually go in and reset the algorithm so that you can kind of change and give it a new chance to learn what are the things that you like and you want to see and so forth. And so I think that actually might be an important thing for a lot of people to do. I know that there are times when I think to myself, man, I haven't seen a post from so-and-so in a long time. But, when you follow a lot, it becomes hard for them to figure out what's the things that, should get surfaced to you or not. Jokes, I think it's time to get out of here. You ready to go?
Think so.
Okay. Well, let me know when you're positive, and then we'll go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, cool. Then tell the people what I need them to know.
Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
With that, we're out. Toodles and lose.